All right, recording has started, and this is the December 1st, 2022 Crossplane community meeting. So welcome to the last month of December, kind of winding things down for the year here, but still plenty of exciting stuff going on. I am not super 100% healthy today, which you might be able to tell in my voice, but I am happy to be here with everybody today. Okay, so let's jump into our typical start of the meeting here with going over our milestone review. So to my knowledge, there were not any patches or releases since the last community meeting on in the core Crossplane or Crossplane runtime. Please correct me if I'm incorrect about that. But we're basically putting a lot of our focus and efforts towards the main 1.11 release that is scheduled for the middle of January, so after the holidays. But there's a whole bunch of exciting work that's going on right now. So let's just jump into that and talk about some of the, I don't know why I clicked on that because that's not what I want. Let's click into the roadmap here and talk about some of the exciting stuff going on. So let me, to zoom, John, did you say to zoom in a bit more on the doc here? Is it not quite big enough yet?
Yeah, I think a little bit more will be good for viewers of the recording.
Oh, got it. Didn't know how big to make this thing. All right, so maybe make this a little bit bigger too. Let me pull up who is on the call here so I can get a couple of updates from folks. So there's a whole bunch of major features that are being worked on right now. One of the ones that I think has now been merged into main, yeah, it looks like it's in the done column now, so this will definitely be included in 1.11 because it has already been merged, is that the composition revision functionality has been matured or promoted to beta level. So there is definitely still an opportunity for folks to give feedback on that before we ship 1.11, especially so folks that are managing, multiple versions of their compositions within their platform. It would be especially useful to get some feedback from you all and see if the experience that is present here that Ezgi has been driving is something that matches your expectations or your use cases. So getting feedback before 1.11 would be very helpful. I think that Ezgi had put out a call for that to folks. If somebody has a link to that and can just get it over here so we can provide it in this agenda doc as well, that would be very helpful. But composition revisions are in, and those will be part of 1.11. And Ezgi, thanks again for all the hard work on that one. Hassan, I think you had an update for observe only resources as well. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, like we just started or finally started this feature, working on this feature, and currently we are in the phase of like investigation and trying to get as much as feedback. Especially, we are interested in particular use cases like how people are planning to leverage this feature and what are the gaps today. So in Crossplane Slack channel, I have created a special interest group channel for Observe Only. So I would appreciate if people can comment there with some special use cases and what they want to what they expect from this feature.
And Hassan, for a little more expectation setting for the SIG that you've started here, is this mostly for feedback and early adoption and like that kind of stuff? Or are you also looking for like collaborators or folks to be taking on some of the implementation or things like that too?
Yeah, I think at this stage, it would be more like looking for feedback and use cases that will be input to the design, and like depending on the design that we will end up, I think we may consider some like help or collaboration or something like that. But at this phase, we are especially like looking for some special use cases to like as an input to the design.
Okay, got it, got it. So yeah, at this early design stage, it's about getting the experience right, making sure we have a good understanding of how people are intending to use this feature, and making sure that
Yep.
we're covering all these use cases.
Correct.
Perfect. That's awesome. So then does that then indicate a little bit of our understanding of timeline on this as well, Hassan? Is it like in the 1.11 timeframe, we're working on this and maybe like have the design and the experience fleshed out, but do you anticipate any shipping code for 1.11 as well, or is it too early to tell?
Yeah, I think it's definitely early to tell, but you know, depending on how we would like to you know, implement the final design, I think we might add some partial functionality into 1.11. But I think I would say better after the design is landed.
Yep, that's totally fair. And it is definitely awesome that we are getting attention on this and, getting involved with getting opportunities for the greater community to make sure that their use cases are understood and that we're going to design an experience here that works for folks. So this is great. I think so. Jean's gave us the link to going back to composition revisions. John gave us the link to Ezgi's call out to get help, get some early validation on composition revisions. So I'm going to add that into the link here to the doc as well. Oh man, I cannot type at all. Goodness. Yep. Awesome. So some good progress then on a couple of big features for 1.11. And then another big one that Nick and Hassan, you'd been contributing to it as well, was custom compositions. I think we talked about this last community meeting, and I don't know if there's a meaningful update since then, but I don't think Nick is here either. Is there, Hassan, anything to share with the community in terms of like early builds to try or early implementation as we're working on composition functions being available in composition functions being available in 1.11?
Yeah, I think I don't have updates other than I know that there are a couple of draft PRs which are relevant to this feature, but I didn't have a chance to try it out as well. So I think Nick would be the best to give the update here.
Got it. That's totally fair. And then Jesse, I wanted to check in with you too, man, since you're here. Had you gotten a chance to continue driving the package signature stuff?
I actually am looking at it right now. I did not get a chance to do it. Like I mentioned, I was going to probably revisit it as soon as I got back from the holidays. So I will have something to speak to next week or when. I think, are these bi-weekly or weekly? Bi-weekly.
Every other week.
Yeah, so I believe that I'm going to have the capacity to kind of like shape this up and target 1.11, but please hold off on any planning around that until we speak again in 2 weeks.
Yep, that's totally reasonable, Jesse, and thanks for your continued attention.
I am going to be dedicated to it over the next couple of weeks though, so we'll see how far I get.
Rad, that's awesome. Yeah, and hopefully we'll be able to make sure you're getting good feedback and reviews and stuff as well to keep the momentum going.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So I think that's most of the stuff that's in flight with, like 3 or 4 major features going on in 1.11. I expect there to be a lot of continued progress over the next couple of weeks. And then probably some things settling down a bit as we go into the end of the year, New Year's, holidays, stuff like that. So it should be probably a busy few weeks at least here, and then everyone hopefully will be able to take some rest and enjoy their time for over holiday time too. Anything else that folks want to add for 1.11 planning and status stuff?
I might add a few minor things we're looking into is improving some of the developer experience around silent errors, as well as composition validation with webhooks. So that's something that we're kind of like looking into as well to improve some of the issues and kind of like paper cuts folks have experienced with that. So that might come up in the next few weeks as well.
Oh yeah, good call out, Jean. And yeah, and we should sync up soon as well too, to make sure that the roadmap board and everything is up to date with everything that's going on. I think this week has been a little rough for me with being sick and stuff, that I think I've coming into this meeting a little unorganized, so I apologize to everybody today. All right, so we've got a couple of new releases for providers as well. You know what, something I didn't do actually is share the link to the agenda doc here in the Zoom chat. So I've just dropped it into the Zoom chat now, and you have a direct link to get into the agenda doc, and feel free to continue adding either any agenda items that you want or new provider releases or anything that you all want to make sure that we're covering today. So there were recent provider AWS, excuse me, couple of different ones. So there's a community provider AWS release that is available. Christopher, do you want to talk through some of the big updates in that one real quick too?
Yeah, generally we did a few. So most of the updates are fix related and a lot of resources. And we did an update of the ACK code generation to the new Go SDK version. And yeah, that's everything I could say for this release.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. Definitely a lot of movement and momentum. Nice, man.
Yeah.
All right, and then they're also Upbound's official providers for AWS and GCP got new releases as well. I think there was not an Azure release this time since there wasn't much progress on that one. But the big focus had been, or there are definitely pretty big updates for AWS and GCP, so feel free to check those out. And then there was also, looks like maybe, Jesse, this is what I was just about to talk about as well, that there is a brand new provider that's been published that is something that you can use to control, configure, manage, provision, etc. The ServiceNow CMDB. So I was not involved in heavily in this development or release myself, but definitely wanted to call it out, because I think that a lot of folks will find use being able to start connecting to and integrating with ServiceNow. So props for getting that out there, folks. Good job. All right, let's keep on cruising through here. I want to see. Okay. So a couple of interesting pieces of content. There's definitely been some great blog posts recently that are helpful for a couple of different phases of folks' journey within their Crossplane path here. So Erkan wrote up a interesting explanation of platform engineering and how you can standardizing that around the Kubernetes API, and how Crossplane falls into that is definitely pretty interesting. Some of the Tanzu stuff, there was a good blog post about how to integrate Crossplane and then policy management with Kyverno to integrate ECR in with some of the Tanzu platform. And then I really like at least the name of this one as well too. Crossplane, a game changer for your multi-cloud strategy. This is a good write-up with some interesting insight there for some folks that are pretty deep in their Crossplane journey. So any other links that folks want to socialize or put up here, we're happy to share them in the agenda doc. I also promote them on Crossplane Twitter. So any talks or blogs or anything that you're doing, feel free to share them here, and we'll make sure to amplify those and get those out to the broader ecosystem. All right, so big updates then for Crossplane.io. Is Pete on the call today? Yes, you are, Pete. I will not take this from you since you've been working on this heavily, my friend.
Yeah, so we pushed the new Crossplane website. It's very pretty. We also have a new docs.crossplane that brings up a bunch of new features, a huge performance improvement. Before anybody asks, search is coming soon. We're seeing if we can improve that search experience with Algolia right now. And the docs have dark mode, which I know we all love. Had a couple of bumps along the way to fix some DNS issues. Sorry for that. but hopefully we don't have to touch any of that stuff ever again.
And so, Pete, I think, yeah, I definitely want to call out that I think the docs functionality and structure is definitely improved. I think it's a really good experience. Like the way that we, visualize different tabs. You can link into tabs now. Code blocks are very smooth. All of that I think is working really, really well. So this is the first step of a docs update where the functionality, the interface has been updated and streamlined. I'm on dark mode because that's my system default for sure, and I enjoy that. If other folks don't need that, that's not for them, that's okay, but I think it looks beautiful. So I'm super excited about this docs update. I think it's fantastic. And then there will be more docs content updates coming as well then too, right, Pete?
Yep, working through that. Right now we got some stuff going through review and a bunch of stuff planned.
Fantastic. So yeah, as Pete mentioned, there are a couple hiccups with getting the Crossplane.io website updated. The biggest thing probably was that we did a DNS hosting shift from being entirely within the control of the Linux Foundation's IT department to something that we have self-service access as maintainers of the Crossplane project too. So now Crossplane.io, we have access to being able to update DNS and add entries and update, whatever we need to as we need to for the project, which is really, really helpful. But we did have a bit of a challenge with essentially, migrating our DNS provider. So Pete wrote up in an issue here the details of what caused a bit of a Crossplane.io domain outage for about an hour on Monday, I believe. So any details there, folks can read this postmortem to kind of talk about and provide a little bit of transparency into how things went and what we could do better on that. But I think a big takeaway here is that we have self-service access and control over Crossplane.io domain and its DNS completely. So I anticipate not having issues like this again, but also it being entirely within our control and being able to respond very rapidly to this kind of stuff. So that is a very good thing to have. And Pete, just a big call out again to you for all the work in driving this big update for the Crossplane.io website and the docs update and all that sort of stuff, and kind of being an intermediary between a lot of parties associated with it. So thank you very much, Pete, for all that work, man.
Thank you. And to skip ahead, there's nothing left. We're done. Thank God. I think there's we found at least one small bug, but nothing that needs to be brought up or make anybody worry that we're going to blow anything up again.
Awesome. So yep, things are updated. Crossplane.io should be stable. Now, is there any special features or items that you want more eyes on, Pete, or feedback on, or anything like that? Or you're right, that's pretty stabilized now too.
I think it's pretty stabilized. I just put a link in the chat of all of the kind of, I guess you call it the docs release note, kind of what's new and improved. For those that are curious, but I feel pretty good about most of the features. But as always, if you find something, open an issue and we'll get it taken care of.
Nice. That's fantastic. Yeah, so I'll link this in the agenda doc as well. So let's make that clear. There we go. Cool. So yeah, there will be, as we said, there's going to be ongoing and continuous investments in the docs. So now that we've got a lot of those features there in terms of the docs experience, if folks want to see improvements in the content itself, there's obviously a couple of different ways to do that. One is open an issue, kind of help us understand your suggestions or how the docs can be improved, and then as well, contributions to improve the docs directly is always appreciated too.
And there's a huge, long, new docs contributor link or page, kind of telling you how to use some of these new features and the tabs. And so it's under contributing and then Crossplane documentation at the bottom.
So contributing specifically to the docs right here, right?
Yep. Okay. So where are the repos, what's the structure, how to run it locally, what are all the fancy bells and whistles we've got in place now as you build out your content.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, this will definitely help people be able to contribute consistent documentation and high quality documentation. Love it. I'm gonna make a link to that as well too. Fantastic. All right, so we talked about composition revisions and we talked about observe only resources. Obviously lots of interesting stuff going on there. So this is on here from last time, and I'm going to leave it on here for a while because we definitely do want to continue hearing from more and more folks within the community about your experience with Crossplane, how you're adopting it, you know, the challenges you're running into, all that sort of stuff. So here is a direct link to the Crossplane community survey, and feel free to fill that out. And thanks to everybody who's already done that. Okay, so I think that's most of the stuff on the agenda for today. I will open up the floor to everybody who wants to bring up anything for discussion that didn't make it into the doc, or things that people that's on people's minds. What can we help you with?
I'll just chime in related to the community survey. I'm trying to do a doc specific survey, so I randomly selected roughly 200 folks from Slack and sent them DMs. So just FYI to everybody, if I swear I'm not trying to spam the channel, just messaging some folks for some feedback. And once I actually get more than 6 responses, I'll share all of that with everybody, of course.
And is that focused, Pete, on like improvements to the docs content, like what people want to see, what they need help with, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. I'll share the questions. I don't want to share a link because then I don't want people taking the survey. Because I am trying to look for kind of a random sample and not self-selecting group. But it's mainly like, what do you do you like the docs? What are we missing? What's important to you?
Got it. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, hopefully you get some good data on that. All right, and Jean, I see that you are adding something there. So if you want to go ahead and start talking about it while you're typing and try to multitask and do 2 things at once, good luck.
Yeah, I'm just linking to a post I made in the Crossplane Jobs channel. I'm hiring for my team. For context, I'm the engineering manager of the control planes team at Upbound, and we predominantly work on Crossplane. That's our focus, and we're looking to add a few more team members. So if you know somebody who's passionate about Crossplane and maybe interested in a new challenge and is in the EMEA time zone area, something GMT 0 to GMT +5, point them to my post.
Awesome, Jean. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, definitely happy to keep growing the team for sure. All right. Anything else that folks want to bring up here today? Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to call out too then is like anybody who has like some suggestions or things they want to see out of this community meeting here, I'm doing some thinking about how to make this more relevant, make it more useful, helpful to people. So I've got some ideas, and John was helping out with that as well. So thank you, John. Around like, ways that we want to make this, have more value for people. So we'll be, kind of continuing to invest in that. But if you ever feel like you want to share some ideas around that, feel free to DM me, send me a message any way that you want, and give some suggestions on things that you'd like to see and ways to continue making this community meeting more useful for people. But all right, one last call for agenda items then. All right, well, if that's everything, then we'll keep working on some of these key features for 1.11, keep making progress and keep putting providers out as well, and just keep this whole thing moving forward. So thanks, everybody. Good to see everybody today.